This is it. This is your chance, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, to get back and get right. A lot riding on this ball game. Let's get into it. This is the game plan and primer. I'm going to give you the 4 points the Chiefs have to beat the Denver Broncos, take the AFC West title, and get their minds right so they can go on for the rest of this regular season, get ready for those playoffs. Then Gary's going to come in and give you all the stats you need to know so you can watch that game and recognize what's going on instantly. Thanks for being with us. Hit that like, hit that sub right now, because here we go. Number one thing that the Chiefs have to do right now in order to get back off the schneid and honestly to get themselves right is to let it go. Put on your big boy pants, say that was that, Bengals are over, we're out of here, moving on. Because it can infect the rest of your season if you're not careful and you're not deliberate in making sure that you cut that bleeding off and get back to what you need to do. You can lose a pinky, you're going to be fine. You can still play this game. Travis Kelce, even on his podcast this week, is still feeling the blues a little bit. That's a problem. You got to grow up. You got to push it aside and move on to the next opponent. And that is the Denver Broncos. Now, we all know they're not having the greatest season, but what do you got to do? You got to make sure that you take away the only target that Russ Wilson's really going to have here. Russ Wilson is having a catastrophe of a season is what it is, and it's not getting any better. The run game can help them. We'll talk about that in a minute, but in particular, Cortland Sutton's likely to be out. Jerry Jeudy may miss this game. The wide receiver options are depleted for Russ Wilson, so that leaves one guy. His name is Greg Dulcich, a tight end that we liked coming out and we talked about quite a bit. He is there, and he's a guy you have to take away from Russ in order to make sure that they can't get anything going. No flukes, no letdowns. Don't let Russ Wilson start stirring the pot, because you should win this game going away. You can't afford to let your guard down. So take him away with L'Jarius Sneed, maybe with Justin Reed, maybe with both. We'll see what happens. If Nick Bolton is out in particular, you have to do that. You might let Willie Gay run with him a little bit if Nick is good to go. He was limited in practice this week. Then what you have to do next is go ahead and be you. That's what it comes down to. You might have a little bit of Tony back. You should have Sky Moore more involved this week. You should have Juju Smith-Schuster more involved this week. Take it easy with Juju, because I didn't like him going out of the game again. So spread the ball around. Get back to what you should have done last week, which is pepper the ball out. It's tempo. It's game time. Deliver that ball. Spread it around to as many receivers as possible. Do not get hung up looking for the deep ball, because the two guys you got to stay away from in this ball game are Pat Surtain on the outside and Justin Simmons over the top. So can't be that lingering, I'm going to duck and heave it kind of thing. No more. Patrick's got to get back to being steady and disciplined. Discipline's the big thing. And number 4, what you got to do is concentrate on what didn't go good for you last week. This team, one thing they can do on offense, the Denver Broncos can run the ball. Latavius Murray's been actually kind of a revitalizing breath since he came onto the roster. What you can do is counter that with some run from Pacheco, some run maybe from Melvin Gordon, see if there's a little bit of revenge there. There's a couple of games against the Broncos still to come, so it could be a lot of revenge this season. But it comes to taking away their strength. Dulcich, now the run game. Try to contain Murray, see what else they can throw at you. At the same time, I think it's important to maybe have a spy. When desperation comes around, Russ Wilson can still hurt you with his legs a little bit. You can't sleep on that. You can't expect one thing. The staff has to prepare for everything the Broncos can throw at them, and that will get them ready to get this win and take the AFC title again. That's what this comes down to. I think that's got to be a focus, and I think that's a way also to turn the mentality around away from what happened last week and get back on track towards getting this W and taking this division for an unprecedented time. That's what they have to be focused on. The young guys don't know much better. They have to take it from the vets and turn it around and get back on the horse. Now, how do they do that? We're going to break down some of the stats that are going to be key in this ball game. Gary's coming up next with that. So check it out, like, sub, and hit that bell right now. And here's Gary.
All right, now let's hit the stat primer for this Week 14 Chiefs-Broncos matchup. This is the 124th matchup between these two franchises, with Kansas City leading the all-time series with a record of 69-54. Nice. The last time Denver beat the Chiefs was in 2015 on September 17th. Since then, the Chiefs have won 13 in a row versus the Broncos. And if you remember, that first of those 13 games where they started this win streak was the Peyton Manning obliteration game where Manning went 5 for 20 for 35 yards, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 0. So that's what started this streak. The Broncos have not beaten the Chiefs since then. Looking at some of the more key statistics for the game, comparing the two teams' offenses, these two teams could not be any more different. The Chiefs have the number 1 ranked points per game offense, while the Broncos have the dead last points per game offense. In fact, they're only scoring 13.8 points per game this year. That's just insane. By far the worst offense in the NFL in terms of scoring. Do the Broncos do anything well on offense? Well, I'm glad you asked, because according to the stats, the only thing that they do well is take care of the ball. They have the 4th best turnover percentage per drive in the NFL, only turning over the ball on 7.2% of their drives. So they've been bad not because they've been turning the ball over. They've been bad just because they've been playing bad. Their yards per passing attempt, they're 21st, and their yards per rushing attempt, they're 24th. So this is really a tale of two completely different offenses in this game. The Chiefs, defensively, in this game, as they compare to the Broncos, are a bit behind the Broncos defense. So in most areas the Broncos defense has the Chiefs defense beat. For instance, in points per game, the Broncos are second in the NFL, only giving up 17 points per game, while the Chiefs defense is 15th in the NFL, giving up 22.5 points per game. Now, rankings wise, the Chiefs defense has continued to improve throughout the season. So here's another chance for them to do it against a very poor offense. Is there anything else that the Broncos do really well defensively? And I have to say, they're a good passing defense. So in terms of net passing yards per play allowed, the Broncos rank second in the NFL, only giving up 5 yards per passing attempt. And in terms of defending the run, they're not as good. They're average versus the run, ranking 18th, giving up 4.5 yards per rushing attempt. So the Broncos defense has been good playing pass defense. Their pass rush has not been tremendous. In fact, they are 14th in the NFL in pressure percentage with a 22.3% pressure percentage, while the Chiefs rank 7th. So they have a 24.4% pressure percentage. Interestingly enough, though, the Chiefs have been getting there without blitzing as frequently as the Browns have. So the Chiefs have blitzed the 11th most in the NFL, while the Broncos have blitzed the 4th most. So the Broncos have blitzed the fourth most times, but they have the 14th best pressure percentage. That tells me that their front four is not exactly getting there. And if you remember, they traded one of their good pass rushers, Chubb, earlier in the year. So it could be an interesting game for Kansas City where they may have some issues throwing the ball. They might try to rely on more of the ground game in this matchup versus the Broncos. In terms of a strength versus weakness matchup, that would be Kansas City's pass rush versus Denver's pass protection. So the Chiefs, as we mentioned, had the 7th best pressure percentage in the NFL defensively, while the Broncos offense has the 27th ranked sack percentage. So they haven't been protecting Russell Wilson very well, and the Chiefs have been getting after the quarterback. So in this game, you don't want to see the Chiefs do like they did last week versus Joe Burrow, where the pass rush was playing subpar offensive line and they just disappeared. No, you want the Chiefs defensive line, the front seven to come out and play and get after Russell Wilson in this game. I'm predicting 2 sacks at least in this game for the Chiefs defense. In terms of a strength versus strength matchup, this is a classic top offense versus top defense matchup between these two teams. So the Chiefs offensively, in terms of points per game, their net passing yards per attempt, and their third down percentage. The Chiefs rank first and second in those two areas at least, while the Broncos are top 3 defensively in all those 3 categories. So if you want to see the Chiefs really blow the doors off the Broncos in this game, they need to be converting on third down, and they need to be passing the ball well, and they also need to be getting after Russell Wilson. If they can do those three things in this game, then I don't see how it will be close at all. But what do the rest of the RGR contributors think? Ryan's picking the Chiefs to win 31-17. Dan's picking the Chiefs to win 27-14. I am picking the Chiefs to win 26-9. And Seth is picking the Chiefs to win 24-13. What are your thoughts on this game? What do you think the final score is going to be? Let us know your predictions. What are your keys? Do you think that it's going to be up to, the pass rush of the Chiefs to get after Russell Wilson while, converting on third down offensively? Do you think that's a good key? Or, what are your opinions? Let us know in the comments. As always, make sure you like and subscribe. And thank you for watching this week's Stat Primer.